Welcome, everyone. Today, we are going to talk about one of the singular most important parts of your life. You always think you want to make a difference in the world. I do. I think that. Today, we're going to be talking about Cinnamon with Cinnamon Alvarez. And trust me, girlfriend, this is my friend right here, Cinnamon. We've known each other now for a decade or more. And her real name is Cinnamon. It's her birth name. It's okay. Now, listen, we're going to be talking about how to have more of an impact in the world, how to get your message out. But here, always, first, as you know, we got to listen to the music. We'll be right back. You're on the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life channel. This is the Coffee Break Show. Cinnamon Alvarez, welcome to the show. I'm so pumped up all week long since I knew you were going to be on the show. I was so excited. Welcome to the Coffee Break Show, my friend.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here too. I didn't even need coffee. I was so excited. I had tea.
It's welcome. How to pimp your friends out 2.0. You know, this is it. You know,
This is the real deal.
It is. Cinnamon, what I want to say is you have had so much. All right, you guys, I see you popping on. If you want to be part of the conversation, put your name down below. My better half has already jumped on. Good morning, Cinnamon. So great to see that amazing smile. I know, right? $1 million smile. So I want to brag right now before we get into this particular conversation. I have really known Cinnamon for probably over a decade now. Super positive, super successful. I mean, serial entrepreneur. This person, she wrote a book, the Generating Your Own Happiness book, exactly 5 years ago. In less than 1 hour, it was #1 in the world, just boom, #1. And I am so excited to have you on here because not only are you a manufacturer, a CEO, an advisor, a #1 book selling, a speaker, a keynote speaker, you've just like done it all. And you've done it all through incredible times and everything else. And today you are launching something that I thought was so important to the world that I'm going to have you on more than once. And welcome to the show, everybody. I see you on. And what I want to say is, one, where do you find all this energy to do that? And two, we're going to be talking about manifesting more impact in the world. Why do you do what you do? Why is that important for us to know today about making more of an impact in the world? Welcome to the show, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. You know, making an impact and really the work I'm doing now through Raising One's Impact R.O.I. retreat came about because my partners and I were volunteering with SCORE, helping people. I'm just going to address one of the problems I see right away, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of work helping people with their business plans. And anybody who has a business knows how important your mission and your vision is.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that all business changes the world and has the potential to do it in a tremendously amazing way, right?
Yep.
So what was happening is when we asked why, when I was leading these workshops saying, why did you start your business? Why are you doing what you're doing? You know that more than 50% of entrepreneurs answer to be their own boss?
I'm sorry.
To make money, to be their own boss. Especially now more than ever, people want to be an entrepreneur to never work for anyone. And you know better than anybody else, when you're the boss, you work for everyone. I laugh. I've done a Nepris talk with students. It was called Secrets of an Entrepreneur, and I myth busted everything. But what happens was, you know, I digress a little bit. So if we're motivated by making ends meet, making money, and being our own boss and setting our own schedule, and then we wonder, though, why people don't want to throw money at us. Like, does that compel you to support me in my business? And so I have just been really, really obsessed.
Yeah.
And I've been working on this.
I love what you just said so much. Does that compel you to throw money at my business? We never think about that. What is going to compel the consumer to throw money at your business, make a difference in the world? That is a key point. So what happened after that? So you saw this and you were like, oh my God, what are we going to
Well,
do?
so I'm the author of Generating Your Own Happiness. And one of the things that comes out of writing a book is it becomes your like life manuscript. Like you better practice what you preach in your own life. So because I was pulling for Simon Sinek style why. If anyone hasn't read the book, right,
Read
start
it.
with
It's a good
why,
book.
watch the TED Talk, right? I think you agree,
Yeah,
Vicki?
absolutely. Great book.
So I do my own work. So I was writing every day for 7 days. I started my day, imagine a world where, because that's really what your vision is through your business, right? And I wouldn't have made it over 20 years as a lighting manufacturing if I wasn't giving to my
Yes.
customers. So I was thinking, well, I'm approaching 50. I'm reinventing myself. Imagine a world where, what do I want? Right? For the world, like I have it all. What do I want next? And that's what I want is I want everyone to get that their life's work makes a difference. And if you're in the fortunate position to be an entrepreneur, I look at your business like a blank canvas. It is your medium, your artistic medium to
So true.
to change the world, to
Yes.
everything, like it or not, the things even we don't like come through our business, right?
Yes.
It's in our team, it's in our messaging, it's in everything. So if
Yeah.
you don't know what your core values are and what you're passionate about, and then you're wondering like, oh, it's so hard making ends meet. That's my belief is because you're not really, really in touch with the difference you make.
Yes. And I want to go over to this difference right here that you're talking about that I think is so, so very important. I'm hearing some feedback. Will you mute for a sec because otherwise we're going to
Yep, sure. I have to use my
glasses. Voila. There you go. Thank you. So then we'll have to be unmuting and muting through this show. But I think what you said is so important. And Cinnamon, a lot of people are doing that. They're trying to escape something versus create something. They want to escape the pain of working for someone else. They want to escape the pain of their financial situation. And because of that, what I think happens when you start with that premise is that's the thing you're creating more of. You're going to create more pain, more leaving, more. When you want to create an impact in the world, that's a different message to the universe. And everybody knows the law of attraction or the vibration or whatever. But if I'm going to spend money with you and you tell me that it's going to impact the world in a different way, I know that the dollar I'm spending is going to make an impact. Here's what I want to talk about with people who are starting right now. Because, this is a time of year where everybody is sensing to themselves, I'm tired of working for the man. I want my own gig. I want to be free. It's all pitched based on what it's going to do for you. And never the Janet Jackson song, What Have You Done For Me Lately? And I think that, thank you. Imagine a world where. So let's say you're starting with I want to speak to those new people, I'm sick and tired of this and that and blah, blah, blah. That's not the mindset of an entrepreneur, is it? So what are 3 key things they can ask themselves outside of imagine a world where, let's say they're starting and they're just looking at anything. They have no idea what businesses they want to start. They have no idea what they're doing. What would you say to them? And unmute yourself because you're going to start talking. There we go.
Oh yeah. So I would say first, if you are a gift, which I believe you are, if you're a gift for the world, what is that gift? And so you bring both skills, experiences, and something unique. So for me, like one of the things I was actually criticized for years and years ago was wearing my heart on my sleeve or being too passionate. Well, guess what? That's my gift.
I
Right?
love that about you, by the way. Don't you let them underscore that. That's one of the
Don't
things I love about
ever. Exactly. I am an on the edge of my seat person. I might run over or rub 1 or 2 people the wrong way, but the majority of people are going to be inspired and take action in our life by who I'm showing up to be. So that's the first thing, is like, who are you naturally as a gift that you might even be nervous about and try to squash sometimes? What is that? And then, yes, what else do you have to offer? Right? It's kind of like dating, Vicky. You know, one of my favorite stories about how I met my husband for another day, but it's like people go into dating thinking, I want this, I want that, I can't have that. This is on my must-have, my can't stand list, right?
Yeah.
And people aren't owning their own greatness. Like, what do you bring to the relationship and to the world? So that's the number one, is you really got to own your greatness.
I think that is such a powerful thing, owning your greatness, because most people don't want to do that. They get up in the morning and they own their criticism, that inner critic. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not tall enough. You're not. You can't be. You won't be. And you're going to fail at this or fail at this. They don't understand just tapping into their own greatness. What do they bring as a gift? So if you're sitting there and you're thinking, well, I'm tired of working for the man, great. I'm glad you're there. But let's talk a little bit simply right now. The first thing she said is you got to own your own you have to own your own gifts. So I think writing down what you think your gifts are, and then I want you to be brave enough to go find a real friend who's going to be truthful with you and sit down and go, what do you think my gifts are? Because they're going to be able to see in you something that brings them joy about you that you are not going to have on that list. And your real gift is there. So just like Cinnamon just said earlier, my gift is wearing my heart on my sleeve. That means being open. That means being vulnerable. That means being able to have the tough conversations with love and kindness. That means to be able to have leadership with that openness. And that form of greatness creates all kinds of good things in there. The second thing she said is you have to own your greatness. Now, if you're willing to own your inner critic, you're willing to own your greatness at the same time. If you can do that, you will probably silence that inner critic more and then make an impact in the world with that. Say what you need to say, girlfriend.
Yeah. So here's something that I think also is a mistake that people sometimes make, right? Is that we are taught, and you were alluding to this earlier in our conversation about fixing things. Like, I don't want to work for the man. We see that as a problem. Well, what happens with our inner critic is we are so hurried at trying to get out of that uncomfortable discomfort and pain that we are missing the indicators that are most valuable. The only reason the inner critic is firing off is because you actually care. You know, people are looking for, well, what am I passionate about? What am I passionate about? Well, if you're getting emotionally charged and right, it's like, oh no, make it go away, make it go away. Maybe it's there, right? Maybe you're so close dancing around what you really care about in the world.
Yes, that's so true, because I have this thing in my head. I have to be totally transparent and honest with you. When my team first came to me, like, I think it was 2017, and they said, we think you need to do a live show. And I was like, what? So I didn't want to do it. So I called my coach at the time, who was Joel Comm. And Joel Comm, I was like, I want to do a syndicated show because then I can edit out everything. I can edit out all the bumbles. He was like, no, live shows, authenticity, and being able to show up. And I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. And I could hear my little inner critic. And I have done everything on live show. I've had an allergic reaction and almost stopped breathing on live show. I've had cuss words on live shows. I've had technical issues on live shows. But the authenticity of a live show has taught me and made me such an incredible leader. But I remember laying down the first time and thinking, okay, this is really showing up. This is really a part of showing up to do a live show. And the thing about laying in bed at night and ruminating, whether you're fearful or excited, if you're ruminating and you see visions of greatness and doing this out there and you're so excited, that's a key. If you're laying in bed and you're like, but what if, but what if, but what if, you're still thinking about the thing that you want to do. That's so good. I love that we're naming these things right now. So, Cinnamon, I want to get a little bit into your career because I think that you have made the choices of what businesses to start using this same thing. Like one of the businesses that you started, you had an urge to go do something and create kind of a community feel in the fitness field as well. And I want you to talk about that because there's so many people who could also say, there's too much competition out there. There's so many people doing this. Why would it matter if I did it? And I want you to know what would you say to those people there, and unmute yourself.
Yeah. So, well, people can get really stuck. So the two things is I'm saying, I just noticed my crazy nail polish.
I love your crazy nail polish.
You don't want to ask yourself so that you get so stuck, because when you justify things, it makes it concrete and almost permanence, right? But what you do want to do is say, well, do I genuinely have passion? And if I'm stressing out about this, is there fear there because I really do want to do this? And then what I personally do, what works for me, is I act on that spark of inspiration instantly. I create structure and support and obligation so that there's no turning back. Like when I knew I was going to write a book, it occurred in my body like, oh, yeah, like, whew. And I knew it to be true. It resonated, and it was terrible fear, brought up every fear of inadequacy and everything. And I accepted yes. And I put the plan into action immediately.
You did.
Immediately. So what you were alluding to is I had a fitness business. I also started an art gallery.
Yep.
It was, when I'm in the space, sparks of inspiration are so precious that you treasure them. Don't let them pass, and you don't act on it. They're a gift.
That spark of inspiration is a gift.
More than we want in anything else in life. So yeah, I've learned to really see that gift and take advantage of it immediately. So yeah, I founded an art gallery because I was, I don't talk too much about my woo-woo side, but I was talking to the walls. I rented a space because I could. I was at a transition stage in my life, and I'm like, I have this commercial lease. I have this space. It was a work-live loft, and I was talking to the walls and said, "What do you want to be?" And I listened, and I knew an artist, and we started First Fridays.
Nice.
Piggybacked on. It was part of the community. My fitness business was part of the community. When I ask myself what the success in business has been, is not what the accountant wants to hear. It has never been about increasing my bottom line. It's about increasing my service and making a difference.
And to me, that always raises the bottom line. It always raises the bottom line. And I think that's the important thing, is we get in there and we try to solve a problem of unhappiness by jumping out and creating something, by jumping out and creating something that is self-serving. And entrepreneurship is a leadership role. It's a role where you decide to change the world with your message and your impact. And that is business. And whatever the idea is, it may not be changing the world to the masses. It might be changing the world one-on-one. And what do I mean like that? Well, if you are a personal trainer, then that's pretty one-on-one with a personal trainer. But that drop in the ocean is inspiring. That person that is your client, other people see them taking action. Other people see them making a difference, and suddenly they're doing it. So here's what I want to say. We talked about earlier, Cinnamon, and we were talking about accepting your greatness. And that was the second thing we talked about. There's a third thing I want to, so it's here, know your gifts, accept your greatness. And this third thing we haven't gotten to, I want to go back to accept your greatness, because a lot of people are saying right now, especially especially everyone, there's a lot of people saying, I don't have any greatness. I'm not great enough. And so what they're thinking is, I have this idea, but now I got to go back to college first. Instead of you
Yeah,
said,
the sexy excuse.
yes,
It's
you
the
said
sexy excuse.
sexy
Don't believe
excuse.
it.
I want to
It's
talk about,
seductive. It's going to try to talk you out of it because you're afraid.
that's right. I want to talk about the thing that you just said. You said, I take an action on it instantly. I make a plan, I do instantly. So, to the person there that is thinking, I don't have any greatness, how do you get that inner critic and burn it down and pull up some
Mm.
greatness? And what do you do from that greatness as that inspired action? What's the next thing you do?
Yeah. So, just for anybody else, so that you know, I have that too. It does not go away. The voice, Cinnamon is a big personality, almost to a fault sometimes. And the voice in my head, I've done so much personal development that I know how to catch I'm not good enough, right? So
Yeah.
that's most people, it sounds like I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough connections. I'm not whatever enough, right? But I've done so much personal development work that I already know that one. So now it shows up in other sneaky ways, like, who do you think you are? Or, oh, Cinnamon, you haven't really been successful. You're just small. Well, you're not like Martin Luther King Jr. or Gandhi, Cinnamon, like, right?
Yeah.
Or they're doing it already. So be aware and be mindful of the voice in your head that's telling you a bunch of BS. It's just your fear speaking, right? And so instead of, remember, we were talking about how people just want to fix things and make it go away.
Mhm.
I don't think you want to do that. I think you want to be compassionate. Curiosity will get you so far. You just stop and be like, whoa, isn't that so interesting? There's still a part of me that thinks I'm not good enough, that thinks I'm small, that thinks I don't have what it takes. But the fear is there only because I care and I want to make a difference. And that's one small
Yes.
part. Like, I'm a big grown up girl. I can hold my own hand and say, it's okay if you're afraid. We're going to do this anyway. We're going to get help. We're going to build your confidence. We're going to get the support you need. We're going to do this. I'm going to allow you to honor the piece of you that has fear, that's passionate about this.
Yes, yes. So we have somebody coming in. Hey, MJ, nice to see you're on. Your mind is your greatest asset. Don't let it fool you. Yeah, and this to me is something that we're talking about. Don't let you fool you. I mean, there's a point where that happens. So I want to talk about this, Cinnamon, and we're going to get a little woo woo because I think we need to do this. You know, you want to have an impact in the world all your life when you're a little kid, when you're an absolute, when you go to sleep, just before you go from that waking state to that sleeping state, there's a part of you that knows inside that you were meant to be great, do great things, and actually stand out in the world. And maybe that's been squished in you. Maybe that's not, girls aren't supposed to be like that. You don't da 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 da. Maybe you've been stepped in that. Well, this is the conversation for those people. Your time is now. Your time is now. And what Cinnamon has done is made a platform for people who want to be world change makers. So here's the thing. You think nobody knows but you that you were supposed to answer this calling. You may think that you're tired of working for the man, but that's a lie. You're tired of ignoring yourself. You're tired of ignoring that little person inside who wants to make that change in the world. So I want to talk about the World Changemaker message. I want to talk about the purpose of it. I want to go deeply into it because I know there are thousands of people listening. Now, listen, if you're driving right now and you're listening to the show, welcome iHeartRadio and Pandora and wherever you are listening, Spotify, etc. Great to have you on. All the notes that you're going to see, all we're going to talk about right now is scrolling on the screen. It's going to be in the show notes. It's on there. I'm just going to, her book, if you want to get a copy of Generating Your Own Happiness, it's on Amazon under Cinnamon Alvarez. Everything is going to be on the show. Relax. Don't stop, take notes. No texting and driving. Just listen and relax and be safe. And so, Cinnamon, what I want to talk about is why you started the World Changemaker organization and what impact are you hoping to have in the world?
Yeah. So I started it because I told you that I was taking my own advice and I was imagining a world where, and I really am taking on transforming personally, right? Because World Changemaker is a collaborative, but personally, I'm taking on transforming how people associate work, like the whole concept of work-life balance, that your work is your life's work and it's meaningful and you make a difference, regardless if you're working for someone or if you're fortunate to have people working for you. So that's my personal obsession. And then World Changemaker is because exactly what you're saying is that ultimately, once our foundation, right, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, once the basics are met and we have a roof over our head and food on the table, because that's difficult if you don't have that. But once those things are met, that is what the purpose of life is all about. It's all about that altruism making a difference. And so I, like everyone else, I have partners because that small voice in me tries to self-sabotage sometimes, and it wipes out my confidence. And so we developed World Changemaker and a retreat, R.O.I, the pun R.O.I, because everyone who is a leader in business knows what R.O.I is. But I'm saying that your return on investment is really about raising one's impact.
Absolutely.
And so we created a framework so that you can really identify what that passion is and what that difference is you want to make, and that you have deliverable in the form of a strategic plan and action steps, because talk is cheap. I know that it's got to get done. Period. I have been to too many short-lived inspiration talks. I've seen too many webinars. I've gone home saying, now I have an unending to-do list of how to, and I never do it. I pay big bucks for coaches to help me get things accomplished. I'm known as wearing my heart on my sleeve. And I'm also known in my household as not being very compassionate, but the get it doneer. Like if you want to put a Band-Aid on your boo-boo, you go to my husband. And if you want to get it done, you come to Cinnamon.
That's right.
You can see both are needed in the world, right? That's what I'm talking about. The gift. It's okay that I'm not the boo-boo girl because I'm the get it doneer.
That's right. And I love that you've named that. I love that you've named that so seriously, because I'm like, oh yeah. Sometimes I think I'm the boo-boo getter, but I'm also the get it done. The thing I do is I like to model to other people. You know, if I want you to succeed, well, then, you know, you better show them how to succeed by your actions. And so one of the things that everyone out there, I'm just talking to everyone. Listen, I know my internet just went wonky a little bit. It'll go back up, guys. I'll look pixelated, but I'm still here. So what happens with the individual when something comes inside? There's some mistakes that people don't make automatically. They get an idea and then they go out to their friends who've never done anything or who are untruthful, and they say, hey, I have an idea, let me tell you about it. And when you talk about it out loud to people who are not supportive, they will squish that down. Oh, that's nice. Or why would you want to do that? You're going to fail. There's so much competition. Da, 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 da. They will talk you out of it. Now, the first thing she does is put a support system in place. And I got to say, honestly, that's the first thing I do. If I'm going to write a new book, if I'm going to start a new business, if I'm going to take on something, I put a support system in place. If you think that you can develop a support system from where you are in the world right now, You better be surrounded by the entrepreneurs who are going to help you mold that idea. But if you're leaving the masses and you are stepping up into a leadership role, chances are you don't have that support system in place. Chances are that you're going to talk to somebody else after somebody else squished it. Then you're going to go to your other friend who says, well, that's nice. You should go for it. But that isn't telling you how you should go for it. It's not telling you what the first steps are. Now, I do know this. If you're really a world change maker, you're already having your ideas. You're putting in your journal. You're writing on that journal right now. Someday I'd like to. Well, guess what? Someday is right now. There's an organization that is here for you, that is willing to support you in unloading your dreams. Why are you still writing in your journal? If you write in your journal, that's great, but it doesn't help you manifest things. What you're going to learn how to do at worldchangemakers.com, what you're going to learn how to do is manifest. And you're going to learn it in a way where you take the idea from your heart that has been hiding there forever, the thing that you've made sexy excuses for, the thing that you've been hiding from, and you're going to unfold it. So, yes, you're right. Absolutely, MJ. Action is key. And if you don't have action, you're probably scared to death. But what if you had somebody that could help you take an action? Unmute yourself, girlfriend.
Yeah, I want to address the support structure. And I'm not saying this at all. This is really out of the generosity of my heart. It is not about you giving me your business, because I can't serve everyone, right? If we're the right fit, that's separate. But here's another mistake that I see us often make. We get cheap with our support structure.
Yeah, we do.
We tell the people who don't believe in us, and then we sell ourselves short. It's like a dating app. Right now, I think Hinge. You know how many people are like, oh, I can't find the one. Well, I'm on this free dating app. When you get what you pay for, like you have, even if it's not monetary money, you have to put skin in the game and commit and play full out with people who expect you to fulfill on what you say you want to fulfill. That's so right. I just want to really, really say that. Like I see a lot of people trying to form their own free mastermind groups with their friends, or their own free buddy system. I'll be your accountability buddy if you be my accountability buddy. You know, when I told you about writing a book, I knew I was going to write a book. I was absolutely terrified, and I paid for coaching, and it took a long time, and it cost me a lot of money, not because writing a book is lucrative, but because I knew I had to get the message out that wanted to come through me. So if you are here and you're hearing this part about structure and support, I just want you to be honest with yourself. Are you being cheap and playing small in how you get support, which in effect is just another form of self-sabotage? You got to really do this full out.
And that, you know, I always do that. It's like, you know, I got here where I am at because I know. Amen to this. That's right. The thing that I did, and I always tell everybody, I spent probably close to $1 million over my career on the top professionals in the industry. I have spent literally, I'm not exaggerating. I have spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of multiple, you know, 5 and 6 figures on coaches that are where they need to be. And the skin in the game is the deal, because those who pay attention. And if you're doing free, then free is those who pay attention, and they're serious. And that's, to me, a key factor in my development of my businesses as well.
And not just skin in the game monetarily. So for example, I saw myself several years ago, the inspiration came and I was like, oh, someday I want to volunteer and I want to do that. Well, I said to myself, who am I kidding? If I want to do it someday, maybe commit and do it right now. I filled out the application, and I volunteered immediately. The first time I said, I think I have a message, I want to do it in a keynotes form. What did I do? I'm like, well, who's doing a leadership conference? I called and I volunteered to speak for free. Like, I committed myself. I was in the best shape of my life when I became the instructor, right? I wanted a party, an art community around me. So what did I do? I started the art gallery and I put it on the calendar, and it came to me because I was responsible for creating it. I'm committed about changing how people relate to their work, and I serve on the workforce development board. Like, I'm not just saying you get what you pay for and pay some get rich quick. You got to be careful, right? I'm not just
There's
saying
some out
pay
there.
big bucks for somebody who's going to take your money. No,
Mhm.
I'm saying put skin in the game and commit and to yourself to doing what you know you have a burning passion to do and accomplish, and
Yeah,
get
and
the
I got to
support.
tell you, that's the first investment I make is in the plan, is in because the plan never goes according to how you plan it. You have to know where to pivot. But when I have someone there, I can go, dude, I need to pivot. What do you suggest? You have support on the line right then. And those, hi, we do it ourselves. Nobody does it themselves. And you're lying to yourself if you think you're going to get there by your own roadmap. Not going to happen in today's world. So, one of the things about the World Changemaker thing that I think is important is it's the first step in accepting who you actually are and not what other people have told you you were. Like, you're an employee, you only have average grades, you're not going to make much, blah, blah, blah. All of that BS is going to be addressed in that manner. And to me, um, becoming a world change maker, it's a type of leadership that it feels so good inside to be able to transform lives for a living, to make a difference in the world for a living. If you don't want to work for the man, who do you want to work for? And by the way, then you become the woman or man. um, who is it then? How is it that you're going to go from the information today that you got to the transformation you're seeking inside? So that's the beauty of having the worldchangemaker.com and being able to go on the retreat, being able to say to yourself, it's the beginning of the year. This is the time of year all of y'all are out there going, I want a new life. January's coming. What goals should I make? What do I want 2023 to be like? Well, I want to make a lot of money. I want to have a lot of freedom. Well, guess what? You cannot have those things staying and remaining as the same person you are right now. You need something that's going to hold you into a position where you're like, oh, here's the path to my transformation. Here's the path to the thing that's really important to me that I want to get out in the world. Let me ask you something. Let's just say right now, I don't know who's listening. There are thousands of people who listen to the show, but what I want to say is I want to give you an open platform right now. I want you to talk about what transformation you're going to give them. What can they expect from being a participant in the World Changemaker organization, and what does it mean to be part of this community?
Yeah. So to be part of the community, we get inspired when we see ourselves in other people and when we see
Mhm.
people who are up to big things. So that's the best thing. Is I'm going to be bold and I'm going to say that everyone is a world change maker. Sometimes we don't own it and we don't believe it. But what we do in the organization World Changemaker, I have two business partners. I've been I believe that life is fun. So I'm the get it doneer. So are my partners, the structure so that we get it done well, and we do it in a fun experience kind of a way. So we have what we call the R.O.I, raising one's impact retreat, where in only 3 days, you're going to have a blast. You're going to start optional if you want to yoga with me. We're going to actually put the entire strategic plan together with the actionable steps. So it's a done with you format, completely structured so you have it done. And then you go back and you also have support to continue to get it done. So that's really what we do as world changemakers. We get that we are fellow world changemakers, and we're inviting you to honor your desire to be a world changemaker, or that you already are, but to give you that really that foundational structure sequence of, igniting the passion, of your impact awareness of the difference that you can make, of speaking up and giving the confidence to be able to lead and to put it into that strategic plan with actionable steps so that you have a roadmap.
So I want to go here. I want to go a little deeper with this, because
Sure.
one of the things that I know is I know what people are looking at right now. And I bet they're saying this to themselves. Well, I'm not like Vicky Hellman. I'm not like Cinnamon. I'm an introvert, and I'm not out there. I can't make a difference. I'm scared to get in front of people. Doesn't matter if I have a good idea. I don't want to be out there. I'm scared to be in front of the world. I'm scared of this. And I want to I want you to talk to those, because I know you feel the beat in your heart and you may be an introvert. It's not that you have to be like, I'm a loud and proud extrovert. I just am. And Mrs. Get Stuff Done over here, she's loud and proud extrovert as well. She's just like let's go for it. That's part of our friendship. That's part of the thing that we admire about each other. It's like, hey, we're hitting it and getting it. Boom. But if you're sitting there and you're like, I'm not that, I can't be here, I can't go to that. I want you to talk to them as well, because you're lying to yourself.
Yeah. So what I love about human behavior is there are things that we have in common, right? All people have the voice that says, I can't, I should, I'm not enough. Those things we have in common. But the other things are just different flavors. Like, I'm cinnamon. We don't need a lot more cinnamons in the world. Or Vicky. Sorry, Vicky.
No worries.
No worries, right? But you have your flavor that you bring to it. Maybe you're not even an entrepreneur. Maybe you love working for the man, and you can see how you make a difference through your leadership, through your organization. That's the part of really harnessing and understanding your gift. So if I can do anything, is I want to encourage you to really use curiosity as a tool, and be mindful and listen to those things you say to yourself. What's garbage, or what I call the sexy excuse, and what is really bringing that emotional piece that makes you really want to make a difference in the world. And I promise you that there's something that you're passionate about. I know you already know the difference that you want to make in the world, and you're not alone at all. In fact,
right.
It's arrogant to think that you're going to solve all of the world's problems by yourself. We need you, all of you, to make a difference in the world.
And that's the whole point. I believe, I'm going to go woo-woo here for a bit. I believe that there are a lot of people on the planet helping people make a difference, whether it's with their health, their wealth, their relationships, their careers, their passions, their purposes. All of these things, there are people specifically keyed up to make a difference in that way. So there are some people, imagine if Robert Kiyosaki didn't answer his calling to teach us about the cash flow quadrant and write Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the calling. And some people have it with it can be a bigger purpose or a more powerful purpose. Or some people, like, I know a gentleman who started a dating site for people with AIDS, that were, here's a dating site, because a man and a woman with AIDS can't go out into the public and go, I'll just be on any dating site. It's a small, narrow group of people. And imagine what that might have come out for, like that. Or, there are so many things that we can do. Whatever is in you in the moment that is tapping in your heart, it isn't stupid. It's needed. And that's the difference. And if you could take a look at it from the point of serving humanity and serving your purpose, and using the World Changemaker platform to connect to this, because a lot of people like, I know this is my purpose. I know it is. I know, but I can't find how to start. I don't know how to start it. I don't know where to go. That's what worldchangemaker.com is for you. That World Changemaker is so that you can get clear and get the how-to piece of it right then. For those people who know, they know, what do you say to them? So let's talk to the person who already knows, they know, and they're looking for you. They're looking for help right now.
Yeah. So if you already know, then you just need to tell yourself it's time. The world is waiting. It's time. Do this, get the support and the help you need to put it into action.
Yes, that's the whole point. Those of you who feel divinely guided or divinely ordained, that's true, you are. But it doesn't say do it by yourself. You have to stop trying to do it by yourself and actually go find where your launch pad is. And if you're thinking, well, they're going to tell me where that is. Well, I want to let you know that story where there's the big flood and they send the boat and they send the helicopter. Here's your boat. Get in the boat. And the boat is www.worldchangemaker.com. So all you have to do is get in the boat. So here's the power of being a world change maker. This is the power of it. Where two or more are gathered, not one by yourself, two or more are gathered. That is how you overcome. That's how all this serendipity, all this miraculous stuff, all this law of attraction stuff, it's where two or more are gathered. In that area, the divine has made it so that when you're a world change maker, you need to be around other world change makers. You need to surround yourself. And I don't mean like, oh, let's dip our toe in it. You need to jump in and become fully immersed in transforming yourself into knowing that you are a world change maker. And this is what you do. This is how you do it. Here's the plan. Here's the support and the continued support, not just, oh, here's 3 days of voila, but the continued support so that you don't just have an accountability buddy. You have a manifestation mentor. And that's so important to have. You cannot get through if you're not mentoring, if you don't have mentoring, that success thing, when you get scared, you'll have a tendency to run back to your excuse. You need to have a speed dial button that says, here's my manifestation mentor. I'm working with this person.
Yeah, part of the strategic plan in bringing your vision to life is identifying who those key partners in this, who your community is to help you fulfill on that. Vicki, I was wondering if I could take it a slightly different direction away from World Changemaker a little bit. So, what I hear sometimes in our conversation is we can be thinking about ourselves and like, I have to do this. And we are part of a bigger whole for all of humanity. And so one cinnamon challenge, I call it a cinnamon challenge because I like to challenge people to take action so they get something. I have a cinnamon challenge for all of our listeners. I want you to right now make a commitment to start noticing around you all of the people making a difference in the world, especially those things that might seem small. Like I have a stepson who's like, I'm never going to do that. I'm going to hire someone to do that. Have you ever heard anybody say that?
Yeah.
So if you think that there's something that's beneath you to do, you better, my challenge for you is you better go say thank you to the person who's doing it.
Yes.
So that's one piece. Is not just your gift and you need to like accomplish this big grandiose thing. We are all essential in making the world go round. Like, how many of you have run a marathon or done a big fundraiser, bike rides? It is amazing the amount of people that it takes, the support at every level, from the water fillers to the sign makers to the trash that when you're throwing out your water cup and the people are sweeping, to the the tape and the streets get closed for you, and the police and the parking enforcement and the janitor service and the porta potties that show up. Like, I want you, this is my challenge for anyone listening, because I know that you have a calling. Start with acknowledging people for the difference that they're making in the quality of our lives. Like, we are so fortunate to have what we have here in the United States. So everywhere you go, that's my challenge for the next, week. I'm just making up the time frame. But
I love
start acknowledging people for the difference they're making. And I think that you're going to then be able to own how you're making a difference too when you're acknowledging other people.
Yes, when you see what other people do. And it's so interesting that you said that. Even if you go out for a meal at a restaurant, let's just, you could go out to lunch, whatever you're doing. When you go out for a meal, just the person who created the ambiance that you like to have, or who made the table that you're at, and looking at the people who are sweating their butt off. The restaurant is full and they're trying to make you a meal that you're going to enjoy and be happy with, so that you have an environment where you can, have connection with your friends, and you're talking. It's like the small little things that you don't know. The guy who busses the table for you so that your drinks are there and you don't feel like you're, every little nuance of what everything counts. And this is a mindset I think is so important to have. When you were talking and I was realizing, oh yes, Robin and I are big on saying the thank you, not just to the people that work for us or the partners that work with us, but identifying the gift in every single person, the gift of how, fast they're doing it, or maybe they're tired and have a bad day and they're still cleaning your table. And that thank you for doing that for me, or I appreciate this. Just noticing them with kindness and an awareness that what they do makes a difference. What that does for them on the inside, that's part of the gift. That's part of the initial. I love that you're saying this, because let's talk to the workers now who feel unappreciated. And you said something that was very important, that I thought, oh, that should be a bumper sticker. Everyone is essential. And we just went through a pandemic where they were like, you're essential, you're not essential. You're essential, you're not essential. What a bunch of crap. Everyone is essential. I want you to say more about that and speak to the worker right now who feels like they're disposable.
Yeah.
Corporations make that obvious, don't they?
Yeah. So this really just speaks to my heart, that maybe I'll tell a little story. Okay. So I was, what's that?
Vulnerability.
The cue of your vulnerability, and tell me if I'm not watching the clock at all.
No, just do it.
So this desire, this is again one of these, I'm going to call it a gift, because I can feel it. It really brings up this tender part of Cinnamon that I just love in myself, because I really love people and I love falling in love with people.
Me too.
Sometimes I tell myself I wish I loved people as much as I love my fur babies, because people are hard to love. But
but we do it anyway.
But we do, yeah. But so I think that that's our ultimate goal, is to love other humans like we love our animals and our pets, or like we love our children, right? Can we love other people like this? So I've always known about this desire to want to serve the underdog, this like civil rights advocate in me. And sometimes I don't even mention it because of our political estate. I have that.
You do.
I do. I just have it. And so there was a point in time where I was working with interns, technically interns. They were people who didn't have work experience, that had boundaries to employment.
I remember.
Yep. And so there were two very different people that came to me. One, I was supposed to help review like resumes for employment. And one person right away, I said, wait, before we waste anybody else's time, do you want to work? And he said to me, Whoa, nobody's ever asked me that before. And he said, can I think about that before I answer you?
Wow.
Yeah. So I think we don't give people credit, right? We think people
Mhm.
might have this like entitlement game, or they just want unemployment, or we see the worst in people. We have negativity bias, but I don't believe it's true. Like when I actually asked the hard question, authenticity, right? Integrity was present. He went home, he came back the next day, and he said, I didn't even know myself that I am loving getting educated, and that's what I want to do. And so we didn't
Whoa.
waste the time. Okay. So then I had the other side. I had another intern that was really having difficulty doing some of the basics that I was teaching. It was an office occupations course, but she was raising her family. She had another minimum wage part-time job at a grocery store. And she was really struggling because she didn't want to have what she called remedial work.
Whoa.
And
Interesting.
I was going home thinking, if I had jobs to give away,
Mhm.
she just wants to support her family. What could I have her do? And I was having difficulty. And I was just honest. And I said, but wait a minute. You keep getting asked to come back to this job at the grocery store. And she said, yeah, but the other employees are running circles around me, and I'm just wiping the counters over and over again. And I just want to provide for my family, and I want my kids to look at me with respect and admiration. And I don't want to do this meaningless job.
Wow. Wow. That's painful to hear. And yet, I
And
want to note this from the audience. It comes
yeah,
from societal norms, and we're expected to work whether we like it or not. Isn't that interesting?
so what I said, because I don't have all the answers, right?
Yeah.
And in that moment, I just put my arms around this girl and I said, look, if they're giving you hours and they're increasing your hours and they keep asking you to come back, correct? I said,
Mhm.
sometimes you just have to trust that you're making a difference and that that's what's important. And I have been obsessed with this concept of people, of making a difference, like with intentionality, and that people really know, because some people don't know that the work that we label in society is the work that nobody wants to do, or that,
Yep.
oh, that's an entry level job, or I mean,
So
it's
true.
all so important. It's all so important. So,
So
yeah.
true. And a
So,
lot of times you don't know why you're there. I want to share a story.
mhm.
When I was in college, I worked at a McDonald's, and this was back in 19, so it was a long time ago. But when I was working in this McDonald's, I had that same thing. Well, you're going to have to grunt a little bit and work. I thought the work was meaningless and that I was super replaceable and that I was all kinds of things. And this one day, this I was working the drive-through and a car pulled up, and this woman was frantic for time, and she was in tears, and she had everything in her cat in the car. And um, I had to pull her forward because her food wasn't ready yet, and she was not happy about that. And it was close to Christmas time, and I remember this distinctly. And um, she was upset, and I told her it'd be as quick as I could be. Now I managed that store at that time. So I remember when her order came up, I pushed the door open, and she stepped out of the car to meet me. And she was so shaking. She had just left an abusive relationship, and she was trying to get out of town as fast as she could. And she had her cat and all her belongings inside this car, and she was running away. And at that point, I realized when I just told her the meal's on me, just don't worry about it. But I remember that same thing that you just did. I hugged her. I hugged her and I was like, you're going to be fine. Just keep going. Don't turn the car around. And that's why I was there, disguised as I'm serving up food. Well, I've done that to a homeless guy who was in a restaurant one time, and he was sleeping there because it was so cold at night. He couldn't sleep. So he slept in the restaurant where it was warm. And at the end, I knew it was my job to give him that free meal and put it in front of him. And it's that one consideration. It looks small, but that rippling effect just keeps going out and keeps going out and keeps going out. And that's the purpose of everyone. Everyone is that gift, even if you can't see it. I love that you said that. Everyone is essential.
Everyone is a gift and essential and deserves and is worthy of being loved and respected and appreciated. So your
Yeah.
audience, Vicky, is full of world change makers.
Yeah.
Right. Just to
True.
take a break away from the business side, because it shows up well, and it does show up in our business, like
Mm-hmm.
all day, every day. It can be
Yep.
the customer, the employee, whatever that is. But like I have similar stories too. I remember one time I was in San Francisco for business, and I was walking up a really steep hill, and I knew I was not going the direction I was supposed to be going, but I started conversation with a stranger. And so I just paused the noise in my head, and I just allowed myself to be with this other person. We got up to the top of the hill, and I said, I'm going the opposite direction. I'm going to have to stay goodbye here and turn around, right? And she said to me, if you wouldn't have gone up this hill with me today, I don't think I would have made it another day alive. Like, you
Wow.
just
It
be
makes my hair
present.
stand up.
It's like, those gifts, and for someone to actually be able to acknowledge it so that I could hear it and know that that was the difference I was making.
Yes.
Right. If people ask me about I've owned 4 or 5 businesses. I'm on my 5th business. But my best job was being a janitor at the LA County Fair,
Wow.
because I was making a difference. Right. It was the disgusting job that nobody else wanted to do. And I can tell you, at county fairs and bathrooms, people OD, people
Yeah.
have cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just dirty, it's a job.
Yeah.
But I treated it. So one of the things we do in the World Changemaker, at the retreat, the foundation is teaching you the game on mindset. So, and Vicky knows this about Cinnamon, has the game on mindset. So here I am, I'm a janitor. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? There's this line waiting. It was one of the first times I really got to see the play and Cinnamon come out. And I'm like, what are we going to do? Here are all these people. I made it like a game. I pretended like I was a flight attendant, and I took my broom and I put my toilet papers on top, and I started doing I have one open here and let me in there. And I'm wearing a smock. And next thing you know, people are putting dollar bills in my pocket. I've never before or since seen people tip people for being janitors in public restrooms. And I highly encourage anyone listening, start doing it. Yeah. Like, anything and everything we do can make a difference in people's lives.
And once you accept that that's true, I have a friend named Ken MacArthur. He's a filmmaker, and he is the impact guy. We call him, he's the impact factor guy, and he is the filmmaker for the Impact Factor movie. And we have a saying, we call him Papa Bear because he's amazing. But he says, you make an impact in the world, whether you want to or not, just the presence of you're making an impact. So if you're aware of the impacts you make, imagine how many more impacts you can make. So whether you want to or not, you're going to make a difference. I want to pop this up. We often think that making a difference is something huge or life altering, but sometimes just a smile, acknowledgments of our presence makes a difference to somebody. You walked up that street and she didn't know whether she wanted to live for another day or not. And you, believe it or not, are that universal gift that the divine said, just go talk to her. Now, the thing about this is you have to trust that divinity in you. In order to be that world change maker, you have to trust that you've been called, that you are the gift in that moment, that you are. How can people learn to trust that piece of them? And that's what we'll close out with. But I want to know, how can they trust that piece of them? And then after that, I know there are people listening all over the place who are like, I gotta talk to this woman, and we'll get there. But let's talk about that
Oh,
accepting. How do we trust? I know how I trust it, but
I was going to say you might have to. This is tough because I'm just going to tell you to
do it.
do it, to trust it. We all are change makers.
Yeah.
We all are making a difference in someone's life. If you have a voice that's trying to tell you you're not, it's lying to you, right? One way to access it is to think about the adversity that you faced in life
Yeah.
and what you've learned through those really hard times, and how you can give back. But yeah, Vicky, how do you trust it?
Well,
I'll throw this back to you.
there is a thing that, and I'm going to put up on the screen right now, www.worldchangemaker.com/ROI-retreat. I think if wherever you are, it's on the screen right now. Relax if you're driving, it's there. You can look it up. The thing that I do, Cinnamon, that I think is super important is one day I realized that I was born, I think I was like 12 years old. And I realized that God created me, and that if God created me just like parents, that I would have some hereditary gifts, because you're naturally, if two parents come together and one is mathematical and one is musical, you're probably going to be good at math and music because that's the hereditary thing. Well, what are the divine gifts that I inherited from the father who created me, or the father mother who created me, depending on your woo woo ness? But when I got to that point, I realized that I came from heaven and I was going back to heaven. I don't believe that I was sent down here without a mission or a purpose or a gift. I don't believe I was just thrown here and say, "Hey, good luck." And at 12 years old, I accepted that. So what I did was, anytime I heard that divinity in me, I knew that was the point where I was to move forward immediately, just like you. So for me, when it's there, I am answering the divine. I don't get an idea, I get a mission. And that mission in that moment might be to talk to that person. The mission in that moment might be to hug that girl who was scared to death running away from somebody who was abusive. That mission might be for me to take the next step and create a platform that I can talk to. Like this show right now, the coffee break show, this is the mission for me right now. I want to help the good people help other good people. Full stop. So in that mission and answering that calling, I'm not answering my idea. I'm not trying to get away from. I am in service to the divine. So that's how I know when it comes in. Oh, it's kind of like, when you look at Mission Impossible. Run, dun, 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 dun. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, dun, dun, is to go up and ask that person who's crying, is that what? And if you know that that's who you are, you become that in that moment. Everyone is that gift. If your mission right now is to clean the table, dun, 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 and put that in there. Oh, you guys, thank you. Thank you very much. And you
So
are
I
that.
just want to say,
Thank you.
notice that Vicky asked me a question and I didn't have the answer. It wasn't all on me.
Mm-hmm.
I volleyed it back. And now that you share it, that's absolutely my experience too. It
Yeah.
occurs like an intuitive knowing or a calling. And I treat it like I'm honoring it, that it's like the muse, it's bigger than, beyond me. And
Yep.
I don't have to know. I just
Yep.
honor it anyway.
And there's the thing that I always know 100% of the time. I always know that everything I need to accomplish the mission is going to fall from the sky at the right time. The right partner, the right purpose, the right
Yeah,
software,
you have
I
faith
always
that
know
that,
that.
that it's going to come to you.
Yeah. I always know that. I know that I just do. That's just me. Cinnamon, I have to say a couple of things.
Please.
I'm honored to have you on the show today. You're the kind of person that this show was built for, the person who is helping others make a difference in the world. And I'm also honored to be your friend. I absolutely love who you are, and you mirror me so much in so many ways that is fun to talk to. If you're thinking about shifting your world, then you need to go to the worldchangemaker.com. Now, listen, when you go there and you register, I want you to put CBS somewhere in there so that she knows it's the coffee break show. Just put CBS in there or tell them Vicky sent you or whatever. Now, if you
We do
are
have a referral if you apply for our Raising One's Impact ROI retreat, there is a referral section. You can send us a message and say you're there.
great,
Hello at
thank
World
you.
Changemaker.
Thank you. Now, if you're saying to yourself, I want to work with this person as my advisor, mentor, or coach, then I would say go do it. She rocks and she's super fun. But here's my warning: if you are not serious, don't do it. Serious people need to apply only, and that's it. If you're ready to get stuff done, this is the person you want to be with to get stuff done. So, Cinnamon, where can they get a hold of you? Can they still get a hold of you at the World Changemaker?
Yes. So, yeah, I appreciate, Vicky, that you say if you're not ready to do it, because I am pulled in a lot of directions. I am hard to get a hold of. So
I
I'm
know.
going to give you hello at worldchangemaker.com. And I am not alone in that. I'm not the only person serving. I have Desiree Musselman and I have Darlene Howley. I like how I was like, oh no, I need to pull their names in an instant. So I'm not doing it alone. And yes, we do have an application process. So it's not
Great.
that we're trying to be snobby. We just want to make sure that we're going to be most effective at supporting you. Don't let the whole idea of an application process to work with us talk you out of it. Right? Show up. I promise we will get you to the right place. Like Vicky said, that she has faith that the pieces are going to fall in the support structure and everything else. But yeah, that's how you would reach me. Hello at worldchangemaker.com. You can also find me Cinnamon Alvarez on LinkedIn, on the social media
Facebook,
sites and
all the
things,
social
Facebook
media
and
platforms. So if you're
Mhm.
driving again, chill out. It's hello at change. You can email her at hello@changemaker.com. If
World,
you
yeah,
want
World
worldchangemaker.com,
Changemaker singular.
World
Oh, world change
Changemaker,
maker. Mhm.
World
Just say to
Changemaker.
yourself, I am a world change maker. Then you'll remember.
And then you have .com if you want to email
.com.
her and get her into contact like that. I want to let everyone know that in the first part of next year, we're going to bring Cinnamon back on with everyone in her
My
business.
partners.
Just as, yeah,
They
with her
are
partners.
amazing, as much, if not more so than I am. I don't notice that I don't want to discount my own greatness, but I am not doing this alone. I bring 1/3
Talent
of
is
the
everything.
what I'm so excited about this endeavor is that I've had other businesses and I have teams, but one of the really cool things about businesses that are really successful is they have diversified talent. They
Yeah.
bring these gifts. So these women that I'm working with are amazing, and they do some one-on-one work. Also, I'm personally not taking one-on-one unless you like beg me and tell me you're being called and you know what you're
And
supposed
don't
to work
tell
with
me
me.
that Vicky said it's a favor you have to take me as a client. I will denounce you and call that a liar. All right, everybody, thank you for being on the Coffee Break Show. Every single week,
Thank
we
you.
bring you the best experts from around the world. Absolutely enjoyed having you on, my friend.
Thank you. And don't forget, everyone listening, your cinnamon challenge. Go thank the people for making a difference everywhere. They are everywhere. Acknowledge people for making a difference in the world.
God, I love that. All right, you guys, next week we'll have a really great guest on and we'll see you right then. Until then, here's the outro music because we do it every week. Talk to you later.